Okay, I think we will get started. All right, so welcome to Raspberry Studio Sessions and welcome to Raspberry AI. Hi, I'm Mandisa. Please feel free to say hi in the chat. Let us know where you're from. Today, we're going to cover a brief intro to Raspberry, a full workflow overview, and then hands-on practice time in app with a project. So why Raspberry AI? At Raspberry, our team blends fashion design, creative direction, and generative AI research. That mix lets us build tools that truly understand how creative work gets done. Our platform supports the end-to-end creative process from market research and ideation through photorealistic digital prototyping and editing to the creation of campaign-ready visuals. We are a SOC 2 Type 2 compliant enterprise grade solution with numerous integrations with Miro, Adobe, Browseware, Clo, Tracix, Microsoft, Coloro, and more. So for design teams, the key value is speed and iteration, exploring dozens of variations of prints, colorways, and fabrications digitally, and using that ideation to make better design decisions. For marketing, it's efficiency and flexibility, recreating photo shoots in hours instead of in weeks. So we are going to start with my favorite part, sketch to render. You can upload hand-drawn and Illustrator sketches, croquis drawings, or any kind of flat technical sketches and render them as photoreal outputs. These are the assets you'll use for mood boards, line sheets, concept reviews, and even early ecom mockups for instant alignment. Once you've got a base garment, you can explore different silhouette directions, fabrications, trims, and more through our edit module. Instead of redrawing a sketch, re-rendering from scratch, or going back to the factory for a new sample, you can explore silhouette changes in app. It's a fast way to sanity check design directions before investing more time or money. Edit also works with on-body images for targeted changes. Here you can see that we have the same model and a fast way to visualize updates without reshooting or restyling. Image Mixer lets you visualize fabrics and materials hyper-realistically. Notice how Raspberry renders depth, sheen, reflection, and material behavior. It's not simply a color change. It rebuilds the material so it reacts properly to light and structure. However, if you did want to change the color, we can do that within our edit module. We are able to instantly apply colorways and even batch recolor multiple garments at once. Next, our prints and patterns tool. This is where you can create seamless, repeatable prints. Think about how much you normally spend on prints. These prints are one of a kind and both license and royalty free. Now, on-body visualization, which for a lot of people is the fun part. This gives you the ability for instantaneous photo shoots anywhere. You can easily try different models, different outfits, and different styling ideas without waiting on samples. We have the ability to bring 3D avatars to life uploaded from Browseware Style Zone, Closet, and more. Or you can generate realistic and diverse AI models with simple or detailed prompts. Lifestyle photography allows you to explore ideas and concepts without having to do it in real life. If you're building a lookbook, a presentation deck, or a seasonal campaign, you can anchor everything around a single AI model without any reshoots. We're even able to take it a step further and animate our image, truly bringing our vision to life. So that's our introduction to Raspberry AI. Let's move on to the training. Okay, so next on our agenda is the full workflow overview in our boards workspace. So today I'm going to be working in our very new boards workspace, which makes it easy to move from one step to the next. We'll move through multiple tools inside Raspberry: sketch to render, lifestyle photography, on-body presentation, the edit module, and then animate. My goal is to show you how these fit together in a real design workflow, not just as separate features. So let's switch over to the app, and I'm going to walk you through what this workflow looks like when it's all done and what we're going to do together. Okay, so I am in Raspberry. If you're logged into Raspberry, you should see something very similar to this. You can customize here. I'm customized to apparel, but we have general footwear, jewelry. So it might look a little bit different if you've customized it, but I'm customized to apparel. It should look really similar. But we're going to leave this page right behind and we're going to go over to the boards on the left. Okay, so now we are in the boards workspace. And I am going to give a full workflow overview of what we are going to do. So I'm opening up a previous board. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by sketch to rendering our 2D sketches. And yes, Kanisha, Boards is our latest feature release yesterday. So this is really exciting for us today. So we're going to render those sketches photoreal. And then we are going to generate an AI model. We're going to dress that model in our photoreal outputs. And then we're going to use that model as our hero image to create a photo shoot using the edit module. And then from there, we're going to choose our best results and we're going to animate. So yeah, that is the full workflow overview. A question coming in, Boards is available to all users right now. All right, so that's the full workflow overview. Let's go back to the deck. So it is now your turn to tackle your first photo shoot in Raspberry AI. Hopefully you've logged in already. If you haven't, now is the time. You can download and use our assets and prompts from the event page. Kanisha has also linked to them in the chat. And you can also use your own. You can follow along and use your own sketches and just follow along with me in the workflow. So there are 5 steps to our first photo shoot. We are going to, 1, turn sketches to photoreal renders in Sketch to Render. We are going to generate a model in Lifestyle Photography. We are going to style that model in On-Body Presentation. We are going to create new poses in the Edit module. And finally, we are going to animate our concept. So first, we're going to Sketch to Render. We'll upload the sketches and prompt. Your prompt only needs to include the color, product type, and fabric or material. So I'm going to demo this in the app. So we are back in Raspberry. I'm going to go back to the boards. And again, the boards are available on the left toolbar. I'm going to start a new board. And I'm going to name this board Womenswear Photo Shoot 47. Because as you can imagine, I do a lot of photo shoots. We are going to start by uploading our images. If you have downloaded your assets to your desktop, you can actually just drag and drop them here, or you can click Upload Images, and here you can browse your desktop. But my assets are actually in my library. So here where it says Assets, this is where you can access your personal library in Raspberry and your cloud library. Mine says Raspberry AI. If you're with an organization, it'll have a different name. So I'm going to go to Trainings, Studio Sessions, and Womenswear. And I'm going to grab my assets and drag and drop them in. So let me close my library. First thing I'm going to do is kind of organize my workspace a little bit. Everybody can do this differently. We also have auto arrange at the bottom if you want to see what Raspberry does, but I like to have these all lined up. And the first thing I'm going to do is go to my coat sketch, and I'm going to click the Sketch to Render shortcut. What that's going to do is open up a Sketch to Render tool node. Here, again, the prompt only needs to be the color, the fabrication, and the product type. So I already actually have a prompt in the women's wear prompts in the Google Doc, and that is beige wool overcoat. And then I'm going to click generate, and I don't have to wait for these to generate. I'm just going to move on to my next sketch. So here I have the dress. I'm going to go to the Sketch to Render shortcut here, which is going to open up that Sketch to Render tool node. And I can use describe image to get my prompt started. But again, I already have my prompt here. I am doing a black leather seamed dress. And if you're following along and you're using our assets, this is another place that you can start to get creative. It doesn't have to be black leather. I saw brown suede the other day that looked really amazing. I saw a burgundy ostrich leather that was very chic. So you can prompt for whatever you want at this point. And then we'll move on to the shoes. I'm going to go to the sketch to render shortcut to open up the tool node. And here I'm going to show you describe image. It's above the sketch. And what describe image does is it describes the image. It describes this sketch. So we have shoes, high heels, pumps, pointed toe, stiletto heel, white, which is wrong. We don't want white. I actually want black, shiny, patent leather. And I'm going to click generate. Okay, so these are going to start generating. But the best thing about the board's workspace is I don't actually have to wait for these to generate. We can move on. So let's go back to the deck. So step two is lifestyle photography. I have a pretty great prompt that I like to use. So I like to use them again and again. The best thing about prompts is one thing that people don't realize is you can use the same prompt again and again. You will get a different output every single time. So if you love a prompt, save it. This one is one of my favorites. But I have a pro tip. You can provide Raspberry with a short idea and use Prompt Assist to build upon your prompt. So let's go back into the boards. And I'm going to go over here to the left toolbar where it says tools. And I'm going to grab create lifestyle photography. I'm going to show that again. We're in tools and lifestyle photography is the first one. You're just going to grab it and drag and drop it out. So this is where we're going to create our AI model. And again, I have my great prompt that I love, so I'm going to use that. But let me move this away from our sketch to renders a little bit. I was thinking earlier today that I wanted to update it. So it's a full body studio fashion photograph, a young olive skinned female model with dark brown wet look hair, slicked back with brown eyes. And I was thinking, and freckles would be really cute. She's wearing subtle natural makeup, large chunky gold hoop earrings. Her expression is serious and confident. She's wearing black sports bra, blah, 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 blah. So let's generate. Okay, so about the tools. So if you are used to Raspberry Legacy, in the boards, you have access to all of the same tools that you have in regular Raspberry. So we have them arranged by concept, presentation, mix, and studio. So in concept, that's where you're creating AI models. You can create product images, which is fashion, clothing, garment, and accessories on a neutral background without a model. You can create prints and patterns, graphics. You can remove models from garments to get a product photo. In presentation, you can turn sketch to render, which is where we started. You can change the background of photos, turn 3D avatars to a photorealistic image, convert a product image to 2D sketch. In the mix module, this is one of my favorites. You can actually apply a fabrication or material to a fixed silhouette. So one of my favorite things to do is you can pull in a previous best-selling style and apply a whole new fabrication. And then finally, we have the studio module, which we're going to hang out in a little bit later, where we have on-body presentation and animate. So I have my model. Let me take a look at all of them and see which one I like the best. I do really like the addition of the freckles. That's one. Is that a pro tip? I'm going to say that's a pro tip. One of the things that I love to use to make your AI models look more realistic is to have things like freckles or things that some people might consider flaws that I think are adorable. But you can actually say like visible skin pores, things like that, and that will make your AI model so much more realistic. So I have my AI model. Let's go back. I'm going to close the tools. Let's go back to our photorealistic outputs. So again, we had these 2D sketches that we took to renders, and let's pick the best ones. I actually really love this coat. I'm going to make it a little bit larger so it's easier to see. And then I actually love this like kind of more A-line shape here in the dress. And then all the shoes turned out great. So I'm just going to grab one of those. So what I am going to do next is move back into the deck for our next step. Okay, so once we have our model, we can combine the image with photoreal renders of garments and accessories for an on-body image. On-body also has an optional prompt for fit and styling. So we are going to combine our photoreal garments and accessories with our model and we're going to dress her. Again, it's an optional prompt. One idea I have is model wears coat open over dress. I'm actually not going to use that this time because I've been noticing it's been draping the coat over her shoulders very jauntily, which is a style, but not what I'm going for. So I'm going to click into my model and I'm going to click on body. That's going to open up the on body tool node. I'm going to scroll out and you're going to see why I made these larger because I'm going to grab them and drag and drop them into the garments and accessories box. And here, I don't think I need to describe fit and styling, so I'm just going to click generate. So now, while that is generating, we've talked about the tools that you have access to. We've talked about your assets. That's your library and your Raspberry AI, well, my Raspberry AI cloud library, but also the cloud, it'll be your cloud library. The third thing that we have over here is our history. And one of the coolest things about having your history available here is you can actually drag and drop from the history onto the board. So these are just all my previous generations that I've made. Obviously, I have run through this before. That's the session I showed you guys. But I can drag and drop any of these and start working with them. So for example, let's say I had, well, well, never mind. Let's move on because it seems like it's going to be generating pretty soon. But anyway, I can look for just today. I can look for the last 30 days. Actually, let's look for, yeah, this is just everything that I've generated recently. So the other thing that we can do is you can also share your boards with a collaborator. So you can share them with different users. You can see that I have actually shared this board with my colleague, Alex. You can also share it with an entire organization. That's something that we're working on right now. And you can do that by just copying the link and sharing it with that person once you have added them to your share list. When that person has access, there's a couple things that they can do. They can come into your board. They can also add sticky notes. So, for example, somebody could add something like, love this, would love to see sports bra in white. And you'll see that it has the name. Mine is Mandisa Foster, the name of the person who is writing the post-it note. The other thing that you can do is annotate. So you could draw here, maybe I want this to be long sleeve. And I say change to long sleeve. So just imagine that I have shared this with a colleague and they're coming in and they're writing these comments to me. Oh, see, it is draping jauntily again. It is a cute look. I understand why they did it. Let's see what the other ones do. But since I see that that's happening, I'm actually going to generate again just to be certain. So I'm going to click back into my original, open up another on body node, and then I'm going to drag and drop the garments and accessories back in again. And this is where I can say model wears coat with arms through sleeves and click generate. I could use the prompt assist there if I wanted to, but I think it's pretty straightforward. I just want to make sure that she's actually wearing the coat. So anyway, back to the post-it notes and annotations. I can also delete any of these if I want to. We have the ability to draw shapes. You can star anything, draw arrows. You can also add text. I could say, spring, summer 2027. So these are all the things that you could do in the board workspace, especially it's a little bit weird, I think, to demo it just all by myself, but it is more fun when you have more people in the board with you. All right, I am going to take a little break and just take a little sip of water while we're waiting. Okay, so the other thing that we can do is we can go back to any of the other tools and we could create something else. Like for example, what if I decided maybe I don't like this model anymore at all? I could go back into lifestyle photography and I could generate a new model. And I can show you guys how the prompt assist would work here. I could say a pale blonde woman with short hair is wearing, I'm going to be really boring, a black sports bra and black bike shorts. Actually, no, I'm gonna at least make it black jeans with black booties. And I'll give her a gray crop top so that it's at least a little bit more interesting. And then let's see what Prompt Assist does with that. Okay. So she apparently is confidently wearing a fitted ribbed gray top, high-waisted distressed black skinny jeans, and she's in an urban environment. So we'll see what we get there. These are coming out so much better. Thank goodness. All right, so we are going to start with her because she looks, yeah. Oh, I really like how she turned out too. I think we'll start with her because she came out the best. I'm going to make her a little bit bigger. So that is our on-body presentation step, and then we're going to move to our next step. Okay, so now did I say on body was the fun part? Edit module is the fun part. So we are going to prompt for different poses and use Prompt Assist to improve your prompt. So if you're looking at the Google Doc, I have a few different prompts. I have model crosses legs and lightly touches collar with hand, show back of model, model turns her head to look at camera, and catch model mid-stride high fashion editorial pose. These are not the prompts we're going to use. These are the prompts we're going to start with. So I am going to use, let's call her my hero image, and I'm going to use prompt AI, and I'm going to prompt model crosses legs and lightly touches collar with hand. And then I'm going to use prompt assist to improve my prompt. So again, why prompt assist? It gets really, really specific. It is going to introduce the new pose, but it's going to have us preserve the model's exact styling, including her beige long coat, black leather dress, black patent heels, her confident gaze, wet look hair, identical, pristine white studio background. Basically, it's a prompt that is so specific that I would never write it myself, and you don't want to prompt unsupported. While that's going, we're going to move on to our next pose. So I'm going to hit prompt AI again, and I'm going to prompt show back view of model. Model turns her head to look at camera. I'm going to put that through prompt assist again. Oh yeah, this is a really good time for me to check in. Is everybody following along okay? Are there any questions? You can pop them in the chat. But hopefully everybody is following along. We are currently at the edit module phase, and I can always go back. Okay, so I'm going to apply this prompt and I am going to generate. So that is my second pose. Let's go back to the deck and revisit where we're at. We have already done sketch to render. That is okay, Christine. You can always attend again. I'll be doing this exact same session in 2 weeks, and I'll be doing it in with menswear next week. So we started with sketch to render, and then we generated a model using lifestyle photography. We dressed that model in on-body presentation, and now we are creating poses in the edit module. So we're creating our second pose. Let's create our third pose. So I'm going to go back to, again, I'm going to go back to that original image and I'm going to hit prompt AI to iterate on top of her. So my next prompt is going to be, again, very simple. Catch model mid-stride, high fashion editorial pose. And I want to say sometimes like simple prompts work as well, but the Raspberry works the best when you have these really beautifully written prompts. So we try to make it as easy as possible for you to get those beautifully written prompts. Is there a limit to how much you can have on the board? I'm going to say that the other day there were 1,000 generations on one board. I want to say the limit is 1,000, but it happened. So we don't actually know what the top limit is right now. You can iterate and iterate and iterate, and it doesn't seem to slow down. But if you get to 1,000, it might start to slow down at least. All right, so let's look at some of the poses that we have. This one is looking really good. I'm going to grab her. She looks properly, I want to say she looks properly bored, which I feel like is the right look for this fashion photo shoot. I'm going to drag her down because she's part of the photo shoot. And then I'm going to grab her. She's looking great. And then I'm going to grab one of these models caught mid-stride. Hey, oh, I made her way too big. That's okay because I can undo that. Okay, so actually we are doing amazingly well on time. So I'm going to prompt one more time. I'm going to go back to that original image and we're going to go, and this time instead of using prompt AI, I'm actually going to click into the image. And here, let me close these tools. I'm going to prompt to remove the jacket and change dress to, do we have a Pantone number? I was thinking I was going to prompt for a Pantone number, but then I realized I don't have one off the top of my head. But let's say change dress to burgundy, but here you can actually, you can upload screenshots of your Pantone chips and use it as a reference. But here I'm just going to say burgundy, or I'm going to say dress and shoes to brown leather and apply. But yeah, this is a place where you can do a lot of things in the edit module, but we have the ability to upload reference images. You can do this directly in the board too. And here's where you can actually upload a screenshot of your Pantone color chip, and it will reference that chip. Here I'm just saying brown leather, but I could have the chip of an actual brown that I wanted to reference. And and then we will just give this a second to load. So now that we are in the edit module, but like please note that we're still in the boards. But you can do a lot of things when you're in here. You can batch recolor. That is where you can, yes, keep the questions coming, please. You can upload a .ase.aco color palette and use that as a reference to batch recolor. Okay, these actually, oh, these look great. So I'm going to confirm that and I'm going to add that to the board. And we'll just add that to the board as another color variation exploration. Okay, cool. So where are we at in our process? We are at step 5. We are motoring along here. So please let me know if you're behind. That is okay. I can revisit any step. I can always go back. But if you're ready, or if you don't get to animate today, you can always try it out on your own. But animate. I have a very simple prompt. Model shifts weight and runs hand through hair. But again, you never want to prompt alone. So this is really where Prompt Assist is going to shine. I'm going to provide Raspberry with a short idea and use Prompt Assist to build upon my prompt. My other pro tip is try using just a starting frame for your first video, and then try out using one of the other poses as the end frame. So we're going to do both of those things right now. Okay, so I am going to pick my favorite one, and then I'm going to hit visualize. And I'm going to zoom in so you can see that. I'm going to hit visualize and animate. And that is going to open up the animate tool node. And here, I'm going to go with my starter prompt, model shifts weight and runs hand through hair. And then I am going to hit the prompt assist. Now, a couple things in the animation tool node. You can choose between a 5-second reel and a 10-second reel. Obviously, 10 seconds is going to take longer. We also have standard generations. That's what I'm going to do right now. But you can also do a higher quality, slower generation, high resolution generation. Um, I will say when I'm trying out prompts, I definitely just go for standard. It's faster. And also, you never know what you're going to get. Okay, so I'm going to go with subtle weight shift by the model causes beige wool coat to gently sway, highlighting its structured yet flowing drape and the natural texture of the fabric. She then gracefully runs a hand through her slick back hair, a natural and refined gesture. All right, looks good to me. So that's the first animation I'm going to start. And you see, I have our little thumbnail image. That's going to be our starting frame. But while that's going, I want to try my other pro tip, which is I want to try one of these with as a starting frame and one of them as an ending frame. So I'm going to go back to my original image. I'm going to hit visualize and animate, but I could choose any of them. And that's going to make that guy the starting frame. And then I'm going to take this back view and drag and drop it and make it the end frame. And I have a noisy street. Sorry about that. And this movement I'm going to describe is going to be really simple because I'm just going from the front view to the back view. So I'm honestly just going to say model turns around. I'm not even going to use prompt assist for this one. And then I'm going to generate and we'll see what we get. Okay, so this is definitely going to take a minute or a lot faster than I thought. Let's see how that worked out. Oh, that turned out really good. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, perfect. So you can see that you can have this 5-second reel. You can also keep generating if you want. I could generate from any of these. I have this model mid-stride. I could have her move, I could have motion for this image. But I really am curious to see my starting frame and end frame. It's going to take a little bit longer to generate because it has both of these frames, but I always like the way that those turn out. So while we're generating, let's go back to the deck. And if you have followed along, and I really, really hope that you did, you have just completed a full end-to-end AI fashion workflow. So how did we tackle this? We have taken 2D sketches to photoreal renders. We've generated an AI model. We have dressed that model in the garments and accessories. We've created new poses to complete our photo shoot, and then animated our favorite image. So if your animation didn't generate yet, or you didn't get to that step today, that's okay. You can definitely try it out on your own. Or if you did follow along today with our assets, but you want to give it a try with your own, please do so. Give it a try with your own assets, your own prompts. You have the power of Prompt Assist now, so you know how it works. Um, hasn't generated yet, but let's take a look at our full workflow while that's generating. Okay, one thing I like to tell people about at this point, I'm actually going to delete these guys that I drew here. Oh, can you change aspect ratio when you first start so the images are not always square? Yes. So, for example, these guys aren't square because my input image was. My input image was a rectangle. But for example, when I'm generating lifestyle photography, it'll usually come out square, but we do have the ability to, here, you can change your aspect ratio. Let me drag out a new tool so that I can show you. So I'm in the tools, I'm dragging out lifestyle photography, and here you see square, landscape, or portrait. I guess I'm just used to generating squares, honestly. But that is a really good question, so I'm glad that you asked it. Okay, awesome. All right, so what did we do here today? We started out with our 2D sketches that I dragged and dropped into the workspace from my library, which you have access to on the left side. And then we generated photoreal outputs. After that, I dragged and dropped out this Create Lifestyle Photography tool node to create an AI model. And I left that little annotation there. We'll delete that. I created my AI model. Yes, a hand-drawn sketch works perfectly well. And you know what? Actually, if you want to come by next week for menswear, I'm actually going to be working with a hand-drawn sketch in that workflow. But it's the same exact workflow. So I generated my model, and then I dressed that model again jauntily with a cape over her shoulder, which is not exactly what I was looking for. Actually, I do kind of like it, so I'm going to add her to my photo shoot as well. But I dressed her again, describing the fit and styling. Model wears coat with arm through sleeves. And then I use that model to start creating my AI photo shoot. So I was able to create all of these looks just from this original look. And I also did a little color exploration. And then finally, we were able to animate our image. So that one hasn't generated quite yet, but that's okay. We'll see what it looks like when it's all done. But now, anyway, I wanted to stop and ask any questions at this point. I hope everybody followed along okay. Yes, you definitely can add placement prints or all over prints to the style after dressing the model. Let's see, we actually have some time here. I am going to drag out a prints and patterns tool node. That is not the reference image, so let me do that again. And I'm just going to type a brown and tan leopard print and generate. So I can generate my print while I'm doing everything else. And then what I can do once I have that print is I can click into any of these. So let's say I wanted to click into this one once that print is ready. Or actually, I think I probably have some prints in my library. So let's do that. I'm going to double click in. Let me do that again because I did that quickly. So you can double click in. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to apply a print. I can draw a mask like this, or I can use Smart Select. And what Smart Select does is, well, it smartly selects it a lot better than I ever could. And we'll just give that a second to load. It's obviously a lot, it's a, let's see. Did you load? Yes. So what it does is it actually like tries to select the garment. And I can use the negative mask to refine it. Okay. And here is where I can apply a print. So let me go into my library and see if I have any prints ready. Okay, I can change the scale of this print. I could change the opacity of the print. I can also change the offset. But what I'm going to do is apply. And that is just going to take a second to load. And the process for adding placement prints is pretty similar. We have an apply placement prints and graphics. So you could actually just arrange it on the garment. So I can adjust the shadow strength. It's a little bit darker than I want it to be. There, that looks really good. And then I can confirm and I could add her to my board. So now I have a different version in a printed style. And let's see. Oh, I do have my brown and tan leopard print. So if I wanted to, I could also add this print to one of these styles. Any other questions? I hope this was really helpful for everybody today. So let's go back to the deck if there aren't any more questions right now. So, what is next in Raspberry? It is the design sprint. 7 days in Raspberry. You can explore all the tools in Raspberry AI in 1 week. So, day one, sketch to render to edit color. Use sketch to render to create multiple photoreal renders and recolor in the edit module using our color tool or AI prompts. Day two, lifestyle photography to edit AI prompts. Create models in lifestyle photography and use edit to change poses. Day three, off body and multi-view. Choose your favorite lifestyle photography output and remove the model from the garment in off body to get a product image. Then use multi-view to get multiple angles of the product. Oh, can we control the print scale? You didn't miss that. Yes, you can. I think that's probably I'm trying to think if I can show that really quickly. And you know what? Let's show that really quickly. So I'll click into this one here. And it's okay if you missed it, no problems. This is just going to take a second to load. And I'm just going to select her dress. And I'm going to go to apply print or fabric. And I'm just going to look in my prints again. And let's see. Here, so this has come in full size. So here is where I can adjust the scale. So I can make it really big and blown out, or I could make it really small. I can also adjust the offset. I can rotate and I can adjust the opacity before I apply it. Okay, so back to our days in Raspberry. So day four, you can explore integrations, import your 3D garments from Browseware or Claude to render photoreal and sketch to render, export your images to your existing Miro boards. It's a really fun thing I like to do, and I'll be doing a training on that soon. Um, Day five, prints and patterns to edit, apply print. Generate a print and apply to one of your solid photoreal renders in the edit module. That's what I just showed. Yes, it is possible to create and generate surface ornamentation as well. Um, Day six, mix module, upload a photo of a previous bestseller. Use the mix module to apply fabric swatches from your own library. Try out Inspiration Mix to mix two garment silhouettes and get something brand new. And on day seven, on body presentation, dress a model in your sketch to render outputs and your off body output, and then you can animate. Use one of the static images you've created over the past week and prompt to animate. And let's see if our animation came out. I'm actually going to cancel out of this. No, it looks like it didn't generate. So annoying. Okay, back to the deck. So, what is next in app tips? What if you don't like what you see? What if you get stuck? When in doubt, regenerate. That's what I always say. If you don't like what you see the first time, generate again. If I didn't like my model, I'll generate her again. The next thing is try out Prompt Assist to improve your prompts. I know I've been hammering that home. Never prompt alone. Prompt Assist can make a really okay prompt into a super excellent, perfect prompt. You can also tweak your style in the edit module. That's something I'll be going into in future lessons. Um, you can use AI prompts like we did to change colors or to prompt for more scenes, less scenes, that kind of thing. But you can also use erase selection. Let's say you have a stray seam you don't like or a stray button. You can use erase selection to get rid of it. And also check out the in-app walkthrough and tutorial videos under help. And that help button is small but mighty. Where to find help, tutorials, tips and tricks, webinars, and more. Check out our YouTube channel, Raspberry AI's YouTube. And how can we help today? At search Raspberry AI help docs. Here is where you can search your help docs. And you can contact us at support@raspberry.ai. We have some minutes, so let me take a look at your questions. A lesson on embroidery and texture generation. I didn't have that planned, but I think that's a great idea. So I'm going to make a mental note of it. Yes, we can do that. Can we make a model again? Yes, we can totally do that. We have time to do it. Oh, well, let's look at our animation and see how she turned out. Okay, I love her. Okay, so now we can make a model again because I finally got the generation of my dreams. So that is the difference between when you make an animation with only one frame and a prompt and a starting and an end frame and a simple prompt. Okay, so how do you make a model? We're going to go into tools and I'm going to go to the very first tool, which is create lifestyle photography, and I'm going to drag it out. And here, for that aspect ratio question, I'm actually going to make a portrait mode. And I'm going to describe the model that I want. So I am going to say a pale blonde woman with short hair in a green crocodile mini dress. I don't know why that's on my mind right now. And matching green crocodile pumps in an industrial outdoor scene. And then I'll use prompt assist on that. Okay. And then we'll generate. Okay. Is it possible to see the size of your print after changing the size on the model? The width and height of the pattern compared to the model. No, it's all visualization, so you won't be able to get like the inches, for example, of how like large or small you've made the print. You can only see it comes in full size, but it's relative to the size of the image. So no, you wouldn't be able to see the size of your print after changing the size on the model. So yeah, here is where we have created our model. I didn't check that prompt. Again, always checked AI. This is very harsh, but I actually do really like it. But this is a little bit more of what I was looking for. And for the person that had the question about aspect ratio earlier, this is how you can generate something in a different aspect ratio. Okay, any more questions? We have a few more minutes. If one has an idea based off an existing concept in terms of the look of the model or setting or even the garment, would the prompt pick up on that and generate something accordingly? Yes, the way that you could do that is, and I don't know if I have something quite ready. Let's drag out create lifestyle photography. So what I could do, for example, is I could go into my reference images and I'm going to select a reference image from the canvas. So let's say I, okay, good question. So yes, if you wanted the Chanel boots from Devil Wears Prada, but you wanted them in a green crocodile leather, here's what I would do. I would get an image of the Chanel boots from Devil Wears Prada and I would upload them as a reference image. So I'm going to show you what happens when you upload a reference image. I'm going to, one, I can use describe image on my reference image just to get a description. So if I had the Chanel boots, I would upload this as a reference image and then this would describe the boots. And this is going to take a second just because it's a lifestyle photography image. So there's a lot more going on and it's a little bit more of a story. But yeah, it would describe the image and then I would use that for my prompt. And then I could decide whether I wanted to use the reference image or not. I might want to try it both ways. If you use the reference image, okay. So we have this prompt. I'm going to use prompt assist on it because it's a little bit, eh. Ooh, that's a great question. Okay, I'm using prompt assist now, but then I'm going to get to your question, Jay. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to apply this prompt I'm going to generate, but I want you to imagine that this reference image are the Chanel boots from Devil Wears Prada. I have this reference image, and then I have this prompt. Now I'm prompting for something similar to the reference image, but not the same. Okay, so can we generate multiple colorways of the dress at once? Yes, we can. So there's a couple of ways that we can do this. One is I could literally go into my assets and I could go into, I could, I can drag and drop out this dress as many times as I want, and I can just like render and render and render. So I could just say like, this is where it gets messy, burgundy suede dress and generate. And I could keep doing that with all of these sketches. But the other thing that I can do is once I've rendered something photo real, I can batch recolor it. So I'm going to double click here and I'm going to go into the edit module. Let me close this out. I'm going to, and I'm moving a little bit quickly. I know I don't expect anybody to remember or follow along with this. I just want to answer the question. So what I'm doing right now is I'm removing the background of this image so that it's a clean PNG. And then I'm going to select the entire coat. If I wanted to be picky, I can come in here and I can, for example, I can deselect this tag. I'm not doing the best job. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not doing the best job. Um, but so yeah, I could deselect this tag because maybe I want this tag to stay white. All right. And then I'm going to go to color, the color palette. And I have already uploaded a .ase color palette that I created in Photoshop. And then here I'm going to select some colors. So I'm just holding down my control key. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's do a couple more colors here. And then I'm going to add the colors there. And then I'm going to hit apply. Um, I can select them all. I can delete any that I don't like. I actually really like all of them. So I can add them as layers into Edit. And then from here, I can also, again, I can select them all. I could download them all. I could export them to Miro from here. I can also add them to the board. So that's two ways that you could generate multiple colors. So like let's say I had the dress sketch like you asked originally. I could drag and drop that in a million times over and I could keep generating and generating and generating. And I can do that all at once, or I can generate it photo real and then change the color into all of the multiple colors and add them to the board. And which is easier? I would say it's kind of easier to batch recolor because then things are going to be more consistent. Okay, so here are all of the colorways. I'm just going to double click them so you can see. All right, so we are at time. Your questions have been awesome. This has been so great. Thank you so much for participating, for asking your great questions. I hope that you were able to follow along. Please note that I'll be doing this exact same session in 2 weeks. Next week, I'll be doing menswear. All right, thanks a lot.